Hello everyone. After having the hydroponic unit for about roughly, I guess, a little bit more than a year, I've decided that there are some basic inherent issues with a hydroponic system, and one of them is getting rid of the nutrient-rich waste. And it's not just an issue of trying to remove all that water, but also the environmental impact as well as long-term sustainability, having to buy nutrients or mix your own. Not to mention the fact that it's not organic. I wasn't thrilled about that idea either. So I decided to do some research and build my own aquaponic system. This is an IBC 275-gallon tote. They're available, well, Craigslist and other places. This one I purchased for $100. It was filled with some kind of food item, so I knew that this wasn't going to be toxic, which is very important when picking one. So I cut it with a Sawzall, and out of the 275-gallon, I have roughly 185 left for the fish tank, and I think this part is almost 100 gallons for the grow bed. I filled the grow bed with a combination of hydrogen and pea gravel. You can get that at Home Depot, other hardware stores. Just make sure to wash it out really good because it is filthy. I moved whatever produce I had left that I wanted to move from the hydroponic system to the system just to kind of see how it would thrive. So the lettuce has already gone to seed, looking pretty bad, but that's fine. The dill is doing okay, and some of the other vegetables are doing pretty good. We'll see as they in the next few weeks how they do as the nitrifying bacteria increase and multiply and the system really starts to take off. Let me show you the fish tank. Right now it's in the middle of draining. I put some PVC in there. There's a water pump as well as a air pump in there to oxygenate the water. If it's a little cloudy, that's because I just started, and in the first couple weeks the cloudiness will be there and it'll disappear once the bacterium start working on all that waste, and so that's quite normal. I have a water pump in here that is pumping the water up through the tube into the grow bed, and the top layer of the gravel is actually going to be dry. The water level only goes up to roughly about here. That changes based on the bell siphon that I created. I'm not going to go through the bell siphon right now, since you could probably go on YouTube, type in bell siphon, and there's plenty of videos showing you how to create one. It's very, very simple. This is a 3-tube bell siphon. The third one is simply to keep the gravel and the hydrogen from going in and clogging it up. So, okay. You can notice all the PVC here. That's because when I cut the IBC tank, the metal rods are very sharp, and I didn't want them damaging the grow bed as well as damaging me, so I decided to cover them with something a little bit softer. I'll probably finish it off one day and make it look a little bit better. The grow lights are the same fluorescent ones I had from upstairs. I simply brought them downstairs and hooked them up to some hooks to the ceiling. I made sure to go into the studs just in case, even though they're not that heavy. For the fish tank, I actually purchased roughly 40 to 50 Blue Tilapia. They're a pure strain I got from eBay. I wanted to grow tilapia because I figured they're fast growing and they thrive really, really nicely in an aquaponic system. I'm also going to get some bluegill in here, but they grow much slower. They could thrive outside in Maryland's winters, so I might actually put it in my pond. I have to redo the electrical one day because that's a no-no, putting the electrical on the floor. You always want to have a loop to make sure that if anything drips, it just doesn't blow up everything. So the grow bed is actually quite large. It's um, it's very large. It's enough to pretty much the same amounts of plants I could put in the upstairs system, the hydroponic system I could put down here. Let me show you the overflow. This is a something I set up just in case the bell siphon decides to die on me. And so when the water level will reach a certain level in the tank, it will overflow into this tube, go down here, and into the fish tank. As you can see, here's the one of the pumps, the air pumps, and that's to increase oxygenation. So when the water does reach a certain level in the tank, it will cause the bell siphon to kick on. And then, let me show you the underside of this. And then the water will drain out of this pipe right here. And the design is actually critical so that it creates enough strong enough of a suction to actually pull the water down. At the tip, at the bottom of it, I put something that will actually break up the water to increase oxygenation as it goes back to the fish tank, because you can never have too much oxygenation. The whole bed, as you can see, this metal is not actually sturdy enough to handle the amount of weight of the water and the gravel and everything, so I actually have it suspended on top of two pieces of, I believe they're 2x4s. I'm probably going to add another 2 pieces. Okay, so here you can see the bell siphon is starting to kick on. It kicks on every roughly 4 to 5 minutes. I haven't timed it recently, and it goes on. It'll drain for about a minute, and it should be going full force in a second. There you go. Look at all that oxygenation, all those bubbles. All right, good. I twist tied it. I cable tied this thing down so it doesn't shift. I mean, it's not going to shift, but just in case, you can never be too careful. You know, I don't want anybody bumping against it and the whole thing falling. I just planted some seeds, lettuce and some dill and some other things, so hopefully we should see some growth in the next couple of days. I'll do some updates as things progress. I'm hoping things will really get better within a couple of weeks when the nitrifying bacteria have fully developed and have multiplied to the point where it's completely inoculated the entire bed. I also got some red wigglers, which is a type of worm, and I was actually making a bucket full of dirt and compost and things like that I would put them in, but then I decided that based on some information I found online that they would actually do very nicely in this bed, so I threw 4 of them in here, and as soon as I put them in, a minute later they were digging under the gravel and finding their sweet spot. So I have no doubt in my mind they're going to do beautiful in this system, and they're going to thrive and multiply. I believe I learned that 8 worms over the course of 6 months will turn into 1,600, so I'm hoping we're going to have a lot of worm activity in here, and that's, of course, they're going to break down the fish solids as well as eat any of the lettuces that are doing poorly, anything that's rotting, they're really going to do well with. So I don't think they're going to be a problem in the system at all. In fact, I think it's going to actually help and add more organic activity, and of course, as they produce their waste, that will actually enrich the bed as well. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated. I don't think we could see the blue tilapia, but you know what? There we can. There are about 50 of them in here. They should be next to the water heater. They love the water heater. I keep the water temperature at a roughly in the low 80s. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah, well, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's showing about 86 degrees. It was a very hot day today, so I put some PVC in there for them to hide in. They love little places to hide, and they seem to be doing well. Out of the 50 or so that I got on eBay, only 2 have died, and that was because of the shock of moving. Everybody else seems to be doing fine, eating a lot. I feed them multiple times per day, some of the fry food, and they should be growing very well. I already moved a few of them to a different tank so that we could have some breeders. At 2 or 3 months, they start to breed pretty rapidly, actually, and I should have tons and tons of fish in no time. All right, well, that's the system. Let me back up so you can see the entire system. It takes up a couple feet in my basement, but for enough fish for us to survive off of, it's a small price to pay. Well, thank you for watching.